sometimes.
What
I
day of the
couldn't
week?
see-
Friday.
I couldn't find what you were talking about. And then,
Yeah, I think they
Jen told me to
just call me Friday.
Saw what it was.
Yeah.
They want it Thursday, they want it Friday.
Yes, well,
Oh,
that's
okay.
Friday night.
Oh,
We're gonna
that's
set up
today.
on
I
Friday
put down
morning.
the first couple of times, I was like, am I an idiot?
What do they-
And then I thought, well, maybe I.
Oh, to see the bread.
Red bar.
The bread bar, right.
Yeah, you just said you could
And
take.
how many, 5?
Right.
And ta-da.
And I.
That's
all.
Yeah.
No, just text me.
You trust people to get it done?
Okay.
I says, I'll do it.
Thank you.
It's not a big deal, it's just
Yes.
remind me.
Yeah, okay, because it got to be such a big deal, and who had to get possibly do this, and I said, stop. You know, I was in that meeting.
I was walking around town.
I
and, the weed
I did not say that we had.
Yeah.
Kind of bad.
We bought up our staffing.
Okay, because
We got-
it's not just people's yards, I mean, there's the criteria
Just doing system.
is
No,
all.
that's fine.
It's a lot of discussion about how to.
I was thought you were gonna mention town right away area.
Well, and
Drives
those
us
back.
those two,
So I said, leave it all, I'll
you know,
talk
you got
tomorrow.
4 yards and you have weeds.
Well, you
And-
just,
I'll
and
take
these
it.
are houses
Yep.
all marked for-
if you need help with
Yeah.
addresses,
Back by
I'll take a letter.
Then just take the
Okay,
van.
and then it's
Yeah.
not.
Banks can do it on
Yeah,
Twitter.
they're spread, you know, by,
Yeah, 'cause
you
there's, you
know.
know.
Did I send you something? And I'll take care of it.
Okay.
I don't
We'll
want
take
to.
a notepad with us.
And you can always.
Yeah, well, and it's not that, I'm not so much complaining as I know they're.
Well,
just
they're doing,
Yeah.
the young folks, decided they wanted to do a fundraiser, not buy all.
So.
It's very awesome. So it's hardly get to see, look at them and say,
Oh, right.
Right.
I'm a
Well,
Yeah.
Look at the things.
Others are, oh, they don't care. And then they
Yes.
do it.
Well, and you
No, I think
know,
that's
like this is awesome.
And yes,
These
they're
are
doing it
for
all.
Technically, I mean, there's flower slash weeds.
Somebody
and
called you.
flower things, but they're.
Lily? Who called you? Somebody called you for the tables. Yeah, about borrowing.
No.
Oh, okay.
What is their funding? How are they raising?
Oh, what? They've got cable, they've got prizes. and they've got-
So it's like a fun, like a fun fair.
It's a fun.
Joe.
So, it's, yeah, it's supposedly,
Yeah.
that's for the next couple of
Oh,
days.
gosh.
Okay, so add that to our agenda.
I don't know if we want to add it to this agenda. But I don't know. if it's
We'll make a note that we're gonna talk
No.
to us.
Well, they built it themselves and if we don't have time tonight. They're really into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so call me.
Jimmy.
Thank you.
Sean Platt. Here. Cindy Neely. Here. Betsy Blakesley. Mark Reynolds.
Here.
Ron Hamilton.
Here.
Frank Cancer.
Okay, can we have approval of the agenda?
Anybody have anything?
Sean?
At some point, we'll have a short update on where we are with the Excel question.
Okay.
And I think if, I don't know about this meeting, but we need to address some dumpster, or talk about some dumpsters.
Okay. Can we have a,
Excellent dumpsters.
approval there?
I make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay, is anybody here, audience business who is not on our agenda tonight? Okay, and so we're gonna start with James and Anya Galenos. Galenos?
Come on.
Come on, so, okay, right the first time. And we actually, if you want to roll one of these little chairs around for. Yeah, we're doing this or something. Just take the name and the address, and then just describe your project briefly.
Sure. I'm Angie Galanos. My husband is James Galanos, and we are at 110 Main Street. What's the other question?
Just briefly what you wanted to do.
Sure. So just for some context, we moved into our house last year and noticed that the only exit that we had to have safe access to the street and to our driveway was the downstairs door. The upstairs door had a dilapidated narrow deck that would have required us to do some boulder hopping and some tree hopping, neighbor hopping to get safely through the street. So we thought we could repair the deck, which we've done to make it just a little bit more stable. We also needed to have access to get down from that deck to the stairs and out the street. So we have a secondary access. So that's the history of the project. What we're looking to approve is to add a set of stairs adjacent to the existing deck that would go down to the second tier layer and allow us to get out to the street, should we need to.
And, yeah, what's the material you're gonna make the stairs in?
Track stacks. And wood railings, and then just using tracks for the stairs. And we think we may incorporate some, just safety tread material on that.
Okay, we're in book 3, chapter 12. The only thing I can find is page 94. Where it talks about porches, awnings, balconies, patios, decks. Somebody else had something. I started out with was A, use of porch, balconies, and decks are encouraged. And A1, the size and style of porch, balcony, or deck should relate to the overall style of the primary structure, which it does. A2, porches, balcony, decks should use similar material to the primary structure. 3, not encroach on significant open space or natural features or neighbors' properties.
Okay.
We do have a question about that, not to like ruin the flow.
I was on a roll. Come on.
Angie, just shut up. But we do want to know about the variances between the houses and whether or not, because it's not, it doesn't seem like it's close, but we were just curious.
There's your man right there.
You have no problem. It's a 5-foot setback. And yours says 15 feet and you have plenty.
Okay,
So I'll check
fabulous. Okay.
Go ahead and step.
Do a little dance.
Okay, thank you.
All right, are you done?
I am Jen.
Are you also
So we don't
adding
have to
the
start
patio?
Sorry,
Are you adding the patio area?
on the upper outside, we were
upper,
gonna lay
yeah.
down some flagstone.
Okay,
Do we need something for that?
yes, we should also then indicate on the application that this includes a flagstone patio. And under the materials.
How about page 96? 1C, newer synthetic materials may be considered. So that would cover the decking material.
Yeah, there's something on,
So we need flags.
so there is the patio thing.
Are we in all areas?
Same thing, number 4. Or
No.
Maybe.
Hey, JD.
G, appropriate patio materials, set in sand, include flagstone, brick, and stone.
That's the plan.
we would move approval with the findings noted.
I'll second.
Is there any more discussion or audience comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, thanks.
I was nervous, so if you guys want to ask me more questions.
You can ask questions.
Thank you.
And stay safe going in and out of your house. That's
Yeah.
the-
Yeah. Okay, and I actually just FYI put that the condition of existing improvements is a hazard for safety on theirs, since they don't have an egress that's safe.
Yes, yes.
Okay, next one is 2155 Muscovy Drive. Come on up. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Mark Walkerman, and wife is Barbara, 2155 Muscovy.
Okay, and you came before us once before.
I did, yeah, we breathing life back into the project after finding contractors and talking to engineers and that sort of thing.
And we did an approval on this, didn't we?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I think the approval was on the location and the setbacks and all that,
Okay.
which I'll ask for more, more detailed information.
But Well, we don't approve the location and the setbacks. We approve the look of your project. This isn't the board that can give you a variance.
No, that's already,
He's already
that's
done
already done that.
So-
It's not. So I looked in your fault folder to find out all the information. It was approved before, but there was never a variance granted.
Okay.
So there's no documents showing that there's authorization for this. So it falls within the setback, which code doesn't allow that. You have to get a variance to do
It's
that.
not in the. Okay.
So code says you have to have a 15-foot setback. Your deck will go 12 feet into that. So
Right.
then you only have 3 feet left.
So there was a meeting, no,
No.
sorry.
On the first
It's-
call, you guys told us we could do a 12-foot 1 inch, that
So-
we were right on it, that we met the 5.
We're not into the 5-foot setback.
Yeah,
Okay,
And-
it's
and
not,
there's
it
a-
should be in your
And it
minutes.
was approved by this
It-
group.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I-
we don't have
we don't
anything to
do
do with
setbacks.
setbacks.
so just,
No,
But we
just-
weren't
we're not
asking for
into the
variance.
setback.
I know, but what I'm saying is code, and I put it on our paperwork, what the code says.
Yeah.
And you have to go through the Board of Adjustments in order to build in that.
In where,
But you guys said, this committee said,
This committee doesn't have authorization to grant you a
but
variance.
somebody had looked at it.
There's no
and
documentation.
Said, but the minutes may should look
I
like that,
checked.
or the Zoom video, because this group did say you can build 12-foot 1 inch, you meet the
in February.
requirements.
Well, there's no documentation that the
And
variance
somebody
is
had looked
granted.
at it.
Well, would that have been Kent?
And I don't know,
It's
maybe,
not up to us to
Yeah.
judge.
is it Steve or
Whether you're in a
something?
setback.
Steve Robbie was an interim administrator.
Maybe it was him at that call.
But as an administrator, I'm the administrator, I have no authorization powers to grant a variance.
So,
But we weren't we didn't know we had to get there. We were told that we didn't need the variance.
no,
That the 12 that it met.
Could
it was
they
approved,
discuss that?
Well,
It
the
was a-
12-foot 1 inch was.
right.
Okay, so where we're at is
I'm
your,
missing.
your design is okay with us,
Right,
but you will need the variance or to check into
and
that.
that's a different group?
And
Yes, that's
so maybe you
important.
guys can talk about that
Sure.
tomorrow and see what you'll need to do to follow up. But well, so we need like an extension on it here.
We've already passed it.
We've already passed it.
Yeah, but it's
But it's-
expired
It's
now.
noted right on the plot
No,
plan, in
it's-
the
it's only-
application,
It's
the
only
approval of
a
that,
month ago.
of our space that we were going to use.
2 months ago.
It's noted, there's a note right on the plot plan that it was approved.
Right, so
Yeah, oh,
it's,
yeah.
it's a conditional approval,
Okay,
is what that means. It's
Okay.
approved, but it has to go to
After that call that we were told that we could build a 12-foot 1 inch, that it met the requirements, who was going to notify us that we needed?
That there was another
to make
step.
adjustments? How would we know that? We've had a survey done, we've done the house, and come before this
Yeah,
committee.
I would say, it's hard to answer that because that was before my time.
okay.
Okay,
And
so where this
Who
committee
is it
is
that,
at,
just so I write down your name, I'm not sure.
I'm Rick
Rick.
Caroglian, yes.
So tomorrow I need to get with.
You can call me and then we can schedule,
Okay.
an application
Adjustments.
for the Board of Adjustments.
Board of Adjustments.
Cindy found some, what'd you find?
No, I mean,
This is
no.
very
This
confusing
is
because
the one that he just did. What did this committee want to do? Do you want to renew this, because this application was in March? So how long does an application go? 6 months, 180 days?
Right, it was granted for 180.
Yeah, it's 180 days. So do we have enough time for him or should we extend this? Because I think we can do
why
that.
why don't we grant an extension on it tonight,
Yeah,
approving an extension, and then you're fine with us and just clear up the zoning. I'm sorry. I don't know where the mishap happened.
I would actually move that we extend the certificate of appropriateness issued on 3/10/22 for 1255 Muscovite Drive, pending the action of the Board of Adjustments. So you know,
As needed.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Because,
it is.
you know, this is a time thing,
Yeah.
with weather and
Yes, it is.
contractors and the time limit on the certificate, if you
That was
take
a
that
motion.
somewhat into some account. And the fact that, you know,
I'll
we
second
expired
that
this
motion.
time. But,
Okay, okay.
I'm not,
I
but does
understand.
nobody
We
on
have-
this
we have
committee
like a-
remember that conversation? In our February where we.
All I know is we passed it.
you know, I was never directed to a board
On
of adjustment.
condition.
Well,
so-
apparently, we thought that was more clear than it was, and so
No, it was
I'm
never,
sorry.
we were never clued in. There was
Okay,
another
so
step.
what I have
We
now
can talk
is,
about it, okay?
All right.
Rick, what I have is a motion, okay, and to extend, and a second, and we'll be happy, you know, Rick can talk to you about any of those other
And
details.
you're done with us.
I have one more question.
Yes,
I don't know where this Bob Hamilton will require construction drawings.
That's it.
I don't either. The thing that's on the
Doesn't belong on
certificate.
here.
oh, really?
Yes, so I would add to that motion that we strike the item on the certificate that says Bob Hamilton will require construction drawings.
You have the drawings though, correct?
Yes, we do have them. But
That's
don't
the
put
next
that
one.
on.
We
That's
hired our architect to get this done.
Yeah, we're all good that way.
Yeah.
It's just the placement, and that's up to you and Rick.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're our new best friend, I hope.
We'll
We
get
don't have
it.
any right now.
Could I get your phone?
Right, right.
Oh,
Okay, and once again, I need, all in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Okay.
Okay.
Against, so we don't have an extension.
Oh, yeah,
We
we
do.
do. That was a vote, so everybody said aye, so you're good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Is it a 3 month and 180
It's
days?
180
It's not
days.
180
Okay.
It's a fair extension.
So I actually do remember. We've got.
I wasn't about that.
So that should be on.
I don't either.
I think it's the intro.
What was it saying?
Susan, for the sake of the minutes, that certificate was application number 24-5. That would allow somebody to find the certificate. Thank you. 22, but I say,
24.
really, I'm rushing.
Whoops.
I know I'm not-
Thank you.
6 months, but that's-
All right, how about 402 Second Street? Davis, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Come on up and sit down. There's- For the record, state your name and address.
CJ Davis, 404 Second Street.
Okay, tell us about your project.
We're just basically trying to update our windows. None of the front facing historic windows that go open for our consolidation in the future, but for right now, windows and a back sliding door that actually opens and closes at once. And
So now we're talking the back side and the side of the house, correct?
we're talking many sides and 2 different structures. So it's a little convoluted, but I think they did pretty good taking pictures. of
Yeah, I see your picture.
circling and I put one big red X in front of the house because I'm sure that's a most concern.
Okay,
That we're not.
Yes, this was James Grafton Rogers' house.
It is,
Yes,
yes,
and you know that.
yes, yeah.
Well, we're glad you know that. Yeah, okay.
and what kind of windows are you gonna use?
As of right now, I think Anderson, I
Okay.
probably like your opinion. But that was kind of the route we're headed right now. I have another estimate, but
We kind of, we're trying to steer people either back to wood or else fiberglass composite windows, no vinyl.
no vinyl. Yeah, it's like a
No
wood
vinyl.
composite and then the back sliding door would be like a custom wood. So that probably shouldn't be an issue.
And you're not changing the size of the openings? You're going basically with the same openings?
Yes, the one back window by the kitchen, we'd like to add one that opens up so that like bacon grease can airflow and whatnot.
But you're not making it bigger,
No, the
Taller.
back one will have to be a little
wider?
narrower because
Okay,
This one here you're talking about?
No, that would be.
Okay.
This one.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Don't see it all.
And then the only thing we will be changing is from the front, the photo that you just held up. The guest house,
Okay.
It's this.
would be those three things. We'd like to just do two things cost wise. Can accommodate three things if need be, but we would really.
So on the upper, lower,
Yeah, so
The same.
from three to two.
I think.
We have to look at this too, because these are historic windows.
Yeah, and those are
Well,
not
this isn't
historic.
a historic structure at all. It's the main house that is.
Correct, yes.
I think it actually looks better with the two.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it might too, and then they'll open up top and bottom, so there'll be airflow.
And essentially there'll be double hungs.
Mhm.
And the material is, you have said it's fibrous.
It's like Anderson's composite proprietary.
Did you mention a sliding glass door?
One more time.
Was there a sliding glass door?
Yes,
Is it existing?
it is existing, but it doesn't slide, it opens like this. But it's got issues on the colors.
So you're gonna go with the slider instead of an atrium.
Yes,
Okay. And that's gonna be wood, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
that is not the fibrous material.
And that's not visible from the street.
No, and that's kind of why I put that big red X on there, it's like, that's the only street visible. And like, I would like to get those done, but for right now, the project is still opening windows.
Yeah, and there'll be a whole lot of different discussion about.
One more time.
There'll be a lot of discussion about the front.
That's fine, yeah, because we don't want to change it either, but they are like getting cloudy,
Oh,
they're not very
yeah,
efficient.
yeah.
I think we're in book 3, chapter 12. And I think, start on page 93.
We're
Does
not
anybody have
in
it?
3, we're in 2.
Book 2.
And we're on page 68 and 69, I do believe.
I'm on the wrong one again. That doesn't figure.
It's windows, doors, and other openings.
Book two, chapter.
Because this is a, well, the main house is a contributing historic structure and should be noted as a contributing structure and also might be noted that
What chapter is it?
what chapter?
Up 7.
7,
7.
Okay. 68.
68.
Okay.
It's windows, doors, and other openings.
Right, but I only really. Actually, the one I found was on page 70, it is still in chapter, in section 6, it's 8. Which is replace, when you replace window or door, try to match the original, and especially the original space. Because actually, then the windows should be simple in shape, arrangement, and details, which they are. And nothing has changed about these windows. So
Yeah. It's the same.
Fibrous material, but it can be painted if need be.
Are you replacing when I say the trim, it's the stuff around the window as well,
the frames,
the frame?
It looks like it's a purple blue on these pictures.
Yeah,
That's
And basically,
replaced. That'll be replaced.
what's that?
the window trim,
Wood
the
trim
outside
around.
That's a
trim,
good question.
I think you'll probably have to.
Yeah,
it needs to
On
remain the
almost all
same
of them.
size,
same size.
yes.
Yeah, we're not trying to change any size on the outside, just that back window will get a little
Yeah,
smaller.
yeah, but you're gonna have to trim this out, we don't wanna see pencil thin trim. We want, you know,
Try to make it the same width as what's
Same
on it.
width on the,
So it looks
So
like
that would be a
it's-
stipulation.
yes, that would be.
Yeah.
You want J and J1 also. J and J1
Okay.
for the trim. Windows and doors should be finished with trim elements similar to those used traditionally. And J1, this trim should have a dimension similar to that used historically.
And you can really see it on this, I mean, it's the,
Yeah, so I think you're looking at would be white, but we can paint it the same.
Oh, we can't say anything about color. We're just looking at size.
Okay.
right, but
Okay,
if
yes,
you
I-
want your trim to match it, you can
Okay,
match
I can
it
follow up
somehow.
with the-
You're gonna-
the-
Yeah, you're gonna match it.
Just the same as existing.
Just the same as existing.
So basically, it just needs to be the same that it's in place right now.
Same with, same.
More sightings? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the application with the site statement.
And the stipulation
And the
was trim.
stipulation is that the framing will be replaced with the same width frame as existing.
We should say trim.
Same with trim.
Okay, all trim replaced with same width.
I will second.
Any more discussion, audience comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. How about 603 Brownell?
That'd be me.
Mike, come on up, state your name and address.
Mike Huggins, 603 Burnell Street. Bertrand.
Okay. Tell us what you're doing.
So, along with our models we're working on doing,
Looks very good, by the way.
thank you. We tore out the driveway. I wasn't planning to do a full landscape until later on after the house was completed, and then get a feel for interacts with everything else around it.
Sure.
But we did tear up the driveway with equipment, backhoe, front loaders, and tracks on it, which we knew that we would be replacing soft brick pavers with more real cobblestone. And so now that we have that driveway ripped out and the rest of the natural grass, we want to get in front of you and get approved for actually doing a little bit more than just replacing the driveway.
This time we're in book 2, aren't we?
This time we're in book 2, yes.
Let's start around page 56 and see if we can find something.
Yeah, I have a couple of
Sure,
questions.
go right ahead.
And my questions mainly are on materials.
Okay,
Because you say concrete, granite cobblestone, are they granite cobblestones or are they granite-like cobblestones?
so there's true granite.
Okay, they are a true granite cobblestone. All right, because that's,
Are they round or are they square?
They're rectangular brick. I'm told they're a actual recycled pavers from an actual road
Is it this
or
picture?
some other project, like, so they're true recycled vintage granite.
Is this picture
Yes.
number one? Okay.
That's one of them.
okay, and my other question is also a materials question. This turf stone grass paver, because quite frankly, we try to keep concrete out of yards.
Correct. So this is more of a center block material versus like actual concrete. But
So you grow grass in between all the tracks.
yeah, I guess just makes it a little
I
bit.
guess my
Zero
question would be why? I mean, I look at your map of where it goes. I mean, one of the pages that I wrote down for this has to do with the landscape part of. Because the attempt is to keep the landscape looking sort of as natural as possible. Though we understand that in our world of scarcities, we want to avoid having to water tons of stuff.
Page 48, so
Yeah. Yes, and, because when we get into appropriate materials out there, it tends to be more flagstone, brick and stone. And part of the reason I asked about that is that tree is right along the front, it's right along the front and front.
Yeah.
And if we are trying to encourage people not to put concrete in the yards, that is basically a concrete grid.
Okay. Okay, so, I have no issue, deleting that and just doing natural grass like what was there before, seeded grass. Just trying to avoid any turf, actually, anything with water.
Yeah, or, you know, if you wanted to, there's different material out there, so you have a new patio or something.
Oh, we have plenty of patio, yeah, it was just, I guess, from my architect, he was, pushing this direction of like having like natural grass, like look a little bit more, I guess, stable or whatnot versus, just mounds of it. But I have zero issue that if we have an outlet, come back and propose another strategy for it, but I totally agree with like any kind of concrete, flat work, I guess, because I was told early on that the town doesn't like flat work, which I'm all
There's-
for.
And then
Even if
there's a
it
big
were
stone
like,
driveway.
like stone,
Yeah,
just like, River Rock or something like that. Any-
well, my husband just planted grass that I think he's called it buffalo grass or something.
Buffalo
But
grass would be best.
it's
Grass
super
is
low
fine.
water, away from the no water, and he says he's not gonna mow it, it only gets like a certain height.
And I think that's what
8
what
inches
we
or
had
something.
going on there.
Yeah.
It was just, but it was like third
So you-
grass, and just, yeah.
So you don't have to mow it, and it'll, once it's established, you really don't have to water it either. It's really tough.
For sure.
And part of that is this is right on the street edge, so, yeah. And I'm thinking about where you sit in proximity to your
Well, there's
neighbors. and
there's some
how
of
the
that
whole
back
thing
here,
looks
too.
going up
It's-
and down.
For sure.
Anybody have a problem with it in the back? I mean, I do want to see it.
I've certainly less of a problem with it in back, because you're not gonna see it, that's,
Right, I
that's.
mean, it's,
Most of the year, it's gonna look like concrete guys, so it's not gonna be green. If you're talking about the turf stone.
Yeah,
If you're talking about the turf stone, it's just gonna look like concrete lattice most of the year.
And I'm okay deleting it altogether and just starting off with like different species of grass, but,
Well,
Yeah, my
if
whole
you're
goal is
willing to see how it goes,
what's that?
if you're willing to, then let's see.
Yeah,
how it
totally,
goes.
yeah, no, I'm willing to totally delete that and just do regular, natural grass, and then if there's something that either my architect brings to my attention after this meeting, or, you know, within the next few months, I'll come back with some other solution.
And so what you basically have is the driveway plus the planters.
And the pavers, most of the pavers are underneath that overhang, that new overhang. And that was just a detail we never really addressed when we did the original design of the building. The addition.
You have the number twos, what are number twos?
Yeah, and number two, that's like a prism, it's a faux looking granite paver.
so it's just a concrete, colored concrete product.
Yeah,
but it's for a porch.
yeah, but it's a manufactured versus like a true.
Well, you gotta have some kind of a patio area there.
The fact gets into the discussion of patio, which is I think where you were. Mark, wasn't it?
Page 56.
Page 71 has deck signs and patios. Appropriate patio material set and stand include flagstone, brick and stone.
What page one?
I'm on page 72.
So this would be like a synthetic, limestone.
Yeah, I have a couple of samples, but I mean, it's got that,
Is it like a stamped concrete?
yeah, and it looks pretty authentic. you know, I mean, it looks really authentic, really, to tell you the truth. It's actually, yeah, this is just one piece, but when you, I had a picture of it altogether.
Well, when you want to see the difference, walking down the street right out here, look inside and look at the sort of colored concrete that was supposed to look like flag. And of course, it abuts with the flagstone sidewalk. So if you want a real evident example of the fact that it is not flag, all you have to do is put it next to the piece of flag.
Like a true flag, and then you see the comparison.
And then you can see the comparison, I mean, it exists right next door to us here. And again, I hope that we steer away from concrete patios. We have attempted to steer away from concrete patios, so we've done a couple of surveys.
Well, are you saying you don't want that there?
Well, I'm saying that what our
So
guidelines
that's
say
kinda- I
is
don't-
that what patio area
Picture of it.
materials are appropriate are sand. Basis.
So are these set in concrete or just sand?
Sand set
Okay, so
and
it's
grouted.
just that it's a man-made.
Yeah, so this is another, like, different color version of that same product line.
So basically, if they're not going for trying to make it look like flagstone, make it look like just regular.
I was going more for a grayish color
Yeah.
stone. That one's definitely red, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
said
then
you
you're
have samples?
attempting to make it look like stone. as
Yeah,
opposed
I got, well, yeah, just
Yeah.
a couple of different ones.
When you say grouted with sand or grouted with cement?
I can see it. It'll be sand, it'll be soft set, I guess that's what.
Okay, if we're
Yeah, it looks
attempting
like
to make it look like stone, not flagstone,
Correct, yes.
because there's a decided
Yeah,
difference.
because it won't look like flagstone.
Because it won't look like flagstone if you're trying to make it look like flagstone.
Yeah, where it'll be in a somewhat secluded area.
Right,
So-
Yeah, it's like their front
Yes.
porch, sort of.
So, I mean, it won't be
Well, and then there's,
standing out like the driveway or something like that.
well, and then there's another area where it would be utilized for the trash, which will be up front. That's another thing. So if there is a concern of this material, I'd like to bring the attention, if you look up.
Yeah, it's right.
Right.
Yeah, just a
That's
small,
That's just your trash thing.
exactly, to come, yeah, bring the trash out to the street. And then in
Then
the
there's
back as
another
well.
section in the back.
Yes. And that's where the other gate, the backyard
But
gate.
this is basically a gray. Your driveway.
The driveway is a mixed blend. The samples they had does have a little bit of red. It's picking up the granite that's across 7
Yeah.
is what it does. So,
Yeah, so this all blends together as a stone.
yes.
Oh, she's
Okay.
got
She
that.
does.
Okay. Satisfying.
So are we on page 72
Yeah,
for pavers?
we're on page 72, which is section 7. And it is F, appropriate patio materials may include flagstone, brick, and stone, and F, one, other materials may be considered on a case-by-case basis. And we are considering this as it is. And the other feature is the core 10, which is the base of.
Yes, so this is an element that in our original plans, I think we had like a Trex material, some nondescript planters. That the architect, and I kind of did not put too much attention, because I knew I want to do something different than what he was proposing. And so this idea is a steel element, something that's a totally different material that we're using in the rest of the project. And it kind of abstractly, I like to think, it's like a mining cart look to it, so.
So that'll be the rest of it.
Yes, there's a lot of elements, that we have with this, the whole house project in general is stealing, types of construction built from old mining mills. So this is kind of another, attempt towards that theme.
Yeah, and that's a hard one to look at. It's supposedly you're supposed to ask us about anything that is high, is taller than 18 inches, and this is, it says 3 feet 2 on it. But it doesn't fit in as a wall or a fence or any of those things, and I think that it, we certainly have allowed metal of all kinds.
Yeah, we allow it for a foundation.
Yes, yeah,
covering.
covering, and this is a big common use, so it's.
Where are the gabion walls?
So that would be on the other side,
Oh, okay.
where they actually had broken up concrete flat work. So not necessarily fully retaining wall, but like kind of planters. And those were already deteriorated. And so we were looking to replace that whole area where the fence is to have a raised garden, continue to have a raised garden, but make it out of gabion wall, which is.
Basically, that's kind of like a retaining wall.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah, and it's rock, it's gonna be just.
Natural rocks, yeah.
Natural rocks.
Yep.
In a basket,
Just like down to new condos.
in a sense, just like down in the condos, yes. And your, fencing that you will put to create your basket will be some sort of a color also, so it is not a bright metallic, something that you're looking at.
It'd be more dull, yes. Try to be more natural versus like a galvanized, I think
Yes,
something like that
exactly.
super bright galvanized.
Yeah, we don't want super bright galvanized baskets.
Yes, okay, yeah. Agreed.
Especially when.
Brown
you've got-
rust.
Yeah, especially when you've
rust.
got a brown rust retaining wall to.
Yeah.
To hold them. They're gonna be interesting. That's all materials that sort of belong to us, so.
All right, do we have anything else?
Fences, walls, and gates. Well, on page 51 on fences, walls, and gates, under
Page what now?
51 in section 3 of chapter 6. It does talk, it talks about fencing, but are you talking about wood or picket or wrought iron, twisted wire or short stone, and those kinds of materials? So I would say that we could cite 3A2.
Okay.
I do love what you're doing with that. So-
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, thank you.
Did you have something on 56, page 56, and I started
I
that?
think we abandoned that. at the beginning.
You
I had that too. Okay. Anything else?
I think maybe that's it. Anybody have anything else? How about a motion?
We have stipulation about the concrete grass thing.
No?
Yeah.
No.
you
Turf
don't
stone
want
grass,
to
maybe.
bump
Well, they're
the
not gonna
buffalo
use it.
grass or something
Okay.
like that in the fall.
Okay.
Can we just renew the fine rescue grass? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, because that's well.
Yeah, the thing that, yes, that's the piece that we eliminated. We eliminated the turf stone grass paper.
So I don't think we need.
So it's not, okay,
Because it already has grass there.
yeah, okay.
But
Did have that.
maybe you should make a note of that because it's on the thing.
Then we have to change.
So yes, no turf
Yeah.
stone,
No turf stone,
okay.
since it's on there.
And just bring attention, there's some like just loose random riprap and like in front of that Corton planter, and then in front of the other patio to create a buffer, so those one only and that stuff. But But the same, it's gonna be the same material that would be in the stadium wall as well.
Okay, so I hear a motion then. Is that a motion?
I'd make a motion to accept it with one stipulation and condition.
Okay. Do you second?
Second.
Any more discussion, Cindy?
Yeah, I might also mention because that the Crimson paver basically is a stone, it's not flagstone. I mean, the Crimson paver we have here shows more in a flagstone color.
Oh,
And
so
what
it's,
what we have said is that it's really a stone look, what you showed us on the
Yes.
phone. So if we could make the note that the Crimson paver is to be essentially stone
stone color.
colored and set and sand.
All right, all in favor? Against? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, Mike, you're up again.
All right,
State your name for the record again and
Mike.
street address.
Mike Huggins, 3112 and 3114 House Street.
Okay,
Georgetown, Colorado.
and tell us about the project. What are you doing?
First, I'd like to start off and apologize because I did jump the gun on this and did not go to you. And main reason being is I thought I was just gonna be replacing the flat work with what I thought was an improved material. I know because due to the damage of the flat work causing water coming into the structure of the building. And so once I had an opportunity with a contractor to come in, just get the work on the schedule as soon as possible, I just cut them loose. And we got to a point, fortunately, to where I don't think we're causing more water damage last time I visited the property. However, while we were just replacing the flat work, I did kind of instruct them to build a fancy stairway and retaining wall structure versus just having the flat stairs.
Well, let's divide this up in two parts.
Oh, boy.
Let's do the patio, because that's the easy one.
All right,
Has everybody been up to look at the patio?
yes,
Thoughts?
well, nobody else has, I wanted to take a field trip. Have you guys been by this, I hope?
Well, take away the plan. Just forget about the steps and the planter. Are we satisfied with the patio?
Again, I mean, that's basically a concrete product up there. And this house, while it said on the thing, and Jen and I discovered, because I'm looking at it, and it's an extant, non-contributing, that's not true.
Yeah.
It is the Dunderberg Mining Company's office, is that front building, and it is a contributing structure to the landmark district. As a matter of fact, it's a relatively important one. It's also sort of an odd one because it was built as a business office in the residential district. But the Dunderberg, which we're gonna buy if we can buy the mountain, was a real heavy silver producer, and that sometime you ought to go up and see the Dunderberg. So yeah, I would like that correction. That's when you say natural granite-like pavers on the patio, I didn't get up and walk on that patio.
I
I glanced from the road. I mean, I don't.
I snuck up there because I wanted to see
Yeah, for sure.
how the colors went. Once you get on top of it, it's not bad. It's that street appearance of the front of it. Because there are different tones of color, so it breaks it up so it's not a solid manufactured look. So I would suggest maybe we do a field trip and go up and look at it, get on it and take a look. But number two part of this is not good. The plans and steps. If you look at your neighbors, starting with the Episcopalian church, that's all stone. The neighbor to the right, that's all stone. The neighbor to that, it's all stone, natural stone walls. And so when you're going up the street, all of a sudden this sticks out like a sore thumb to me. Anyway. Comments?
That was my take,
Yes.
that the wall, you know, the stairs and the wall were totally out of place.
Yeah.
You really can't see much of the patio.
No.
I mean, you look at it, okay, it's a concrete type product, it's there, but I mean, I can live with that, I think, because it's, you know, it's really not that visible, it's not that prominent, but the wall really is out of place. I mean, the patio doesn't meet the criteria to look for it being, you know, a natural product, but that's my thoughts on it.
Sean?
I have the same thoughts.
Okay. Did you look at the patio itself?
I didn't go up on it, I just
Okay.
looked at it from the street. I do think it looked better than what was there.
I haven't seen it in person myself, but the photos do look like concrete in this print.
Was it just a concrete flat slab there before?
Yeah.
So, you know, from that
Yeah, it was
standpoint,
concrete
it's
slab.
definite improvement, because this,
Yeah,
this
but if you're gonna take.
doesn't look like a concrete slab, it's broken up into some kind of, you know, patchwork type,
But the concrete was tan though, it wasn't gray,
or it was.
it was more tan from what I remember.
Yeah, and
We
if
got
you're
some big
taking
bathroom
something
pictures of
out
this.
that's attached to a historic building, you're supposed to try to, you know, go back towards more of what it would have been.
Wouldn't that be
And we
better?
have page 64 that says the new, you know, new stuff should be similar in character. And this is as much for the wall, but similar in character to those seen historically. And, you know, certainly that entrance is not characteristic of how you enter, you know, historic residential district. So, yeah, Mark, it's hard to separate.
From what I remember, the redstone, the slabs blended better with the redstone.
It was pretty gray. Flat.
Okay, yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I
it was,
thought it blended was.
and this was the damage we were trying to correct. Yeah.
Right.
And then this was some more continuation of the flat work that was in front of the driveway.
Right. Yeah, I was up there.
We have plenty of random flag around.
Yeah, well, so is it the wall and the steps that need like a refacing of some sort?
The wall's the biggest issue
The wall?
Yeah, wall and steps.
from the photos.
Well, the wall, the steps project right out. I don't think we refaced them, I think they go away.
But one solution would be to put natural stone across the front of that. Create the steps and maybe put a little flag on those steps going up there. Perhaps a little toward the inside of the house, have a flag or something butt up against that gray papers.
What about traditional brick? Because there's brick planters there.
Where is the property line?
Good question.
The projecting steps too, don't fit.
It shows right
I
here,
was
just
wondering
above the
the
dotted
steps
line.
are-
is where the-
I mean, if I'm on the ground,
Yeah.
that puts property line out in the street. And our streets, most of the time, our streets are wider than the streets we drive.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah, I did not check that, so that would have to be verified of what the actual right of way encroachment, you know, going over. So
Okay,
that,
that sounds next.
I didn't check.
Yeah, because if you look at the walls going up the street, you know, you have the one at the house next door that Barbara
Hey, Mike.
has just moved into, and
That's
So,
Barbara's house.
so this
right
is
there.
right next to it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the wall with the flag steps. So it's the street facing part that we're really addressing, that, the wall and the steps.
Well, either side of this house has natural walls with flag in it. I'm not saying we have to use flag, but
Mark, on that picture, where are they, because when I stood here, Okay, I see hers. Well, I'm really sort of curious whether these walls are actually on people's property lines.
Yeah. I would kind of presume so, because when we did the sewer line at Barb's house, we had that issue about her property behind was, and it seems like it was right in line with her wall.
Right in line with her wall, okay, so I think we want to check whether
Yeah,
where
I'll
our
check
line
it.
is to up there, but we can.
So an example is if you look at this house right here at the corner of Seventh,
Mhm.
we've looked at the survey that they gave us from a previous project, and it's clear that they had built over that. And that's why that project was stopped too, because it's over now on the right of way easement of this, beside the street.
This is one on Seventh,
Yeah, it's just right here. It's a large home.
a
They built-
little bit newer.
Yeah.
I don't know when they were doing that project. Is that why they have a pile of material out there
Yeah,
still?
that's why I haven't been in, because they haven't brought an application here. But that's the same situation. They kind of, they assumed that they could just go over, it, but when we looked at it, it was like, no, they were like 5 feet over their line.
I was, well, and I was instructing my guys to follow the same steps that they were there before. The steps went all the way across.
I understand that, but these, again, if you've taken something out, we would like it to be replaced in the fashion that is appropriate to it. Because somebody did something before.
Well, sometimes the ones that were there weren't the best.
No, they
Then we don't
weren't.
want that reproduced. So
No.
it fitting more with the ones on either side that Mark had the pictures of. And the facade of it stands out as so different from what's up that street there.
I think
So you're saying historically they would not have used a manufactured product at all?
Well,
Well, I mean,
but
Yeah.
it's,
Right,
so
and
Yes.
you don't see any, you don't see any of our houses have not that, I mean, I have a cut granite wall in front of my house, and there's one over at the Hamel House, and yeah, I mean, if you can find enough cut granite, I suspect you could get a little wall that looked like a more formal wall, but in general, this is a really sort of formal entrance to a house in a residential district that doesn't historically have this kind of an entrance. I mean, this isn't how what you see.
well, I guess maybe, I would love to have, maybe a little bit more open thought, especially because this was an office building too. Because it's not gonna have the full characteristics of a residential structure.
But it's right now in a residential neighborhood, right?
Correct.
Well, even in an office building, back in that period, you wouldn't have
You
something
wouldn't do
like this.
this.
I mean, you just, I mean, you walk
You come in
down
the
Sixth
back
Street,
door,
you see
so
the
now
same,
you come in.
the same thing.
Yeah.
It would be a more natural. So it's, I mean, it's out of
Well, this
place.
isn't the grand entrance, there's a front door to the,
But even this back entrance is.
So I guess what we're really asking you to do is rethink this one. And I'm not sure we're going to resolve this evening.
let me ask you, if the wall as it is now and the steps were refaced, so they're existing already, if they're faced with stone on top of that, is that gonna solve this issue, or do they need to be?
I think
We need to
first
figure out the
know
property
where they
line issue.
are,
Yeah,
But then, yeah, if you made them out of stone, we'd be a lot closer.
okay.
But I don't think we're going to say that we can pass it without seeing it.
Can we back up another step? Are we okay with the patio itself?
I am.
I think everybody ought to go up and look at it with your permission, of course.
Just want-
oh yeah, no.
Okay.
I mean, I'd love to have the opportunity to do a field trip and
And
take a look at it. in
also
person.
think about maybe pushing some flag or something into the part where you can actually see from the street. So you don't have to remove all those papers.
I mean, it also shows that the garage, where the garage apron is, doing a tumbled concrete paver there, which that would fly either.
Probably not.
So it's really, it's the streetscape. This where the big issue is.
Well, do I have a motion?
I make a motion we table it till next meeting. So we can get a little more info. look at it,
Okay,
maybe come up with a couple different suggestions. I then will know where your property line is, your direction work on that. So you know if the stairs aren't protruding onto the property line.
Is that something possible to have a record of? Yeah.
I can research it. I can see where your property line is and where the town's right of way is. So I could research that.
Well, I appreciate it.
Did you get an improvement survey when you bought it?
No.
Well, you could easily just get a survey done, you know.
That's what I'm trying to avoid here.
Yeah.
My surveyor is no
I
longer
mean,
in
it's
business
not,
anymore.
it's only like $2,000.
We did this house a lot less than that.
Did you?
Well, he retired right after that job, so I had to
He's
call him
like,
back.
I'm done.
Yeah, I had to track down someone else for answering the question, but
Okay,
Okay,
so I made the motion.
I'd second.
to table.
Uh,
Okay, more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay. So like, if I come back the next meeting, we'll be under assumption that everyone went visit the site.
Yeah.
And we're under the assumption that you'll be thinking through.
What you've done.
With a better word itself.
A suggestion, next time come here first.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I don't think about easier to ask for forgiveness is not true.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
No, thank you all.
Very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
We hope you've had a good time tonight.
Oh, yeah. It's, really great to be back in town after 2 years of Zoom.
Yeah.
Seeing the town planner, I should come up and visit, occasionally, see what's going on.
We're still here.
Yes, see what you guys have been up to. Planning commission been up to.
We've been busy.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see it around town.
So you know, go ahead and state your name and what you're here for.
Sure, I'm Martin Landers, town planner. I'm here to discuss a couple of potential code amendments associated with subdivision exemption regulations that are in the town code. And I guess this is a way of introduction. These subdivision exemptions usually are pretty simple, quick approval by the planning commission. We do them quite frequently. Normally they're done for lot consolidations. A lot of them are done for lot consolidations. There's a lot of non-conforming lots in town, 2,500 square foot lots. Somebody comes in, they want to put two of them together so they get a buildable lot. So we tend to look at those and do it to the planning commission and they're approved in about 15 minutes. That was not the case with the recent subdivision exemption that came before the planning commission. In this particular case, they were looking at consolidating 4 lots into a 10,050 square foot lot. And there was concern by one of the planning commissioners that that would affect the character of the area. For the planning commission, when they're reviewing a subdivision exemption or any subdivision, it's considered a ministerial process. They basically have to look at whatever the regulations are for subdivision and say, this is the criteria. There's 3 different criteria for subdivision exemptions, one of which has to do with maximum lot size. If there's a maximum lot size, it can weigh in on whether or not that's appropriate for that particular subdivision exemption. The interesting thing is, there's no maximum lot size requirement in Georgetown for the historic residential zone district. Yet the intent of that district is for small lots under the zoning code. The intent statement is very clear about what the intent of that particular district is. So there's a lot of discussion at the planning commission about this. Ultimately, they approved it with one person recommending denial. But we thought it'd be a good idea to come to you and ask your opinion about whether or not there should be a maximum lot size requirement in the historic residential zone district. And if so, what that size should be.
Go ahead.
Can I?
Yes.
Because I spent a little time on it today, Martin.
I can't imagine that.
Cindy was ready for that.
because I think we're addressing the wrong problem. The planning commission has a wonderful statement of intent for the historic residential district, and it says it's the intent of the regulations established in this section to maintain a primarily single-family, small lot residential character, to retain the historic pattern of compact development, and to ensure that new construction in the district is in harmony with and does not detract from the historic building styles and designs in the district. That's the same intent as our intent. I mean, it's really well aligned. What the problem here is more the size of the house or the structure than it is the size of the lot. As we look around town, there are any number of historic structures that are on lots that are far larger than 10,000 square feet. My house, which is a little house, is on a lot that's larger than 10,000 square feet. And if you walk through Rose Street, I mean, let's do, Sagstead, Bowman White, Moore, and the four in that line. Not a single one of them is on anything less than 15,000 square feet as a lot. But the thing that has been happening is people have been building they haven't even been building to the limit they're permitted on that lot. The thing that seems to me that we're really after is not the size of the lot, it is the size of the building. Right now, on a 5,000 square foot lot, 50 by 100, you can have 40% lot coverage, which means that you can have 2,000 square feet of building on floor one. You also can have 2,000 square feet of building on floor two.
And if
So
it's a sloping height, you get 2,000 on the basement floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
See that
which
as well.
means that you can build a 4,000 square foot house on a 5,000 square foot lot. The structure becomes too big. And one of the things that all along our streets here where people have built on 5,000 square foot lots, and historically, they've built houses that range someplace between 1,200 and 2,400 square feet of living space. And even when we look at the new ones that were just approved from Washington Millsite, the typical buildings, actually the typical floor area ratio has been someplace with 2,400 square feet, 2,700 square feet. They haven't maxed out. I mean, those houses could, people have looked at me and said they're too large. And I'm thinking, you have no idea how large they could be.
Right.
But if you do then a lot combination up to your 10,000 square foot, technically you could put an 8,000 square foot house on it. And I think what the planning commission is reacting to is the visual of having a house the houses appear to grow too large. I don't think we resolve that by creating a maximum lot size.
Yeah, there are two issues, you're right. And the other issue has to do with maximum building size.
Right, and
I guess what I'm getting at, specifically with what subdivision exemption criteria is the maximum lot size. And so we could also add criteria to that also said maximum building size. But right now, we're stuck with just the maximum lot size as part of the subdivision exemption criteria. So that could be another code amendment. Point is that there's nothing in the code regarding maximum lot size. There's something in the code that says the planning commission can only act on, or one of the criteria that they can only act on associated with denying a subdivision exemption is maximum lot size. And it is not consistent, the small lots to not have a maximum lot size in the historic residential district per the intent statement of zoning regulations. But that's not to
I
say,
agree with
that's
that.
not
but
to say that
It's not
the buildings-
answering the problem at
it's
all.
not the only side of the problem. You're right. There's two pieces of the problem. One of which is maximum lot size, the other is maximum building size.
So what happens if we say, you're going to have a maximum lot size of 7,500 square feet? Or 10,000 square feet is your maximum lot size. That gives them guidance on a subdivision exemption, maybe, or, where somebody wants to combine lots, that gives them an outside boundary. But they're hoping that they are impacting the real problem. They're hoping that they're keeping to the intent, and that won't help them. I don't think we should proceed with the maximum lot size before we consider where we want to go with a floor area ratio.
I agree. I mean, is there a way that we can limit the building size?
Sure, you can do a floor area ratio that says that you can use 40%, for example, I wouldn't suggest this, but instead of a 40% being lot coverage, a 40% is your floor area ratio. You can build so at my 5,000 square feet, I get 2,000 square foot of building. I can make it on one floor, I can make it on 2 floors, but I only get my 2,000 square foot of building. That changes the building entirely. And that's basically, isn't it, Martin, how floor area ratio operates?
Yeah, you can certainly do that. Floor area ratio is a zoning standard, not a subdivision standard. Right now, we're specifically looking at
What
the
I'm saying
subdivision
is,
exemption process and what appears to be
but
an
then-
issue that we have that we're trying to address. We either keep we either remove the requirement on the maximum lot size, or we come up with one. That's really where we're at. We've got to change it one way or the other.
I mean, fundamentally, I wouldn't have a problem with having a huge lot,
But not huge.
but not a huge house to go with it.
Yeah.
because I don't think you can separate the zoning code into, all right, this is subdivision and it doesn't impact other things.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm
But you're
really not.
saying we're
I'm saying
only
there's,
considering the subdivision thing.
I agree, there's 2 parts to this problem. Okay, but with the subdivision process, that's one part of the problem. Somebody can come in and consolidate 8 lots and do a 20,000 square foot lot. That's going to impact the character of that street. If somebody walks in and builds,
Yeah.
a 10,000 square foot home on it, all of a sudden, you're going to really change the character of the area. So lot size is a part of the issue. But building size, you're right, and you can address that through FAR, you can address that through maximum square footage, there's a number of different ways to address that.
But question though,
Yeah.
if that were to be the case, and it comes here first, would you guys not flag that 20,000 square feet?
Oh, yeah.
Except that all we can do is send a recommendation to the planning commission, and if they do not have something, and this is Martin's point, that says that there is a maximum lot size, they're going to say, go ahead, no matter if we tell them that we think it's a very poor idea. We told them that it was a very poor idea to subdivide into smaller spaces down on Main Street, and the planning commission, and they went ahead and did it. Because so we can give our recommendation, right, but that's not gonna put it that way. Martin, what I would worry about, but think about, if I want to take the lot lines out of my piece of property, I mean, I'll make this absolutely personal. I sit on part of 7, 8, 9, and piece of 10. If I wanna just clean that whole mess up, essentially, if somebody said that there's 10,000 foot maximum lot size, I wouldn't be able to do it, right? But I'm taxed on it as one unit.
It depends on what the lot size is, the maximum that you come up with.
I know, but 10,000 isn't a large number for this town. What I'm saying is there's a number of people in that position, they actually sit on.
That would be considered a legal non-conforming use, so it really wouldn't affect your property or any other people that already have an existing structure on an existing lot.
But I want to get rid of my lot lines.
And that's fine, you can certainly do that, it'd still be a legal non-conforming use if you did that. Either way.
And the planning commission would tell me I could.
I couldn't tell you that you couldn't, given the criteria that they have.
No, but I mean, if we gave them criteria that said this is the maximum lot size.
It'd still be non-conforming though.
Yeah, unless you're building a brand new house, or if you want to tear it down and build something else.
Just knew you couldn't do it, but since yours is existing, it's not conforming.
Right,
Even though I've got all kinds of lines and I'd be asking them to take them
Right.
out.
Wouldn't matter. If it's a new construction, then it changes.
right.
Then you have to conform to new code. And that's where the issue is, because this is a new build.
Right. It's not non-existent, it doesn't affect existing at all.
Okay, so if they weren't planning to build on it, anything on it, could they wipe all those, lines out of the middle?
That's what they were doing.
That's what they did.
They eliminated all the lot lines, so it'd be one lot now.
Yeah, they had 4 2,500 square foot lots.
I get what they had, but if they were, if they're not planning to build, you can eliminate whatever lot lines you want.
Well, they are planning to build. It's gonna be-
Okay, I still don't
It's
understand.
gonna be new
the difference.
construction, there's 4
Let's say,
2,500 square foot lots.
let's look at that a little different. Let's say that this year they eliminate all the lot lines and they wind up with this big 15,000 square foot lot down on Main Street. 3 years from now, they decide, I want to build on it. Nothing to prevent them from building 40%.
40%.
Correct.
Right. That's right. Whatever size it.
So it'd be-
Except you guys, it would come before you first.
Yeah, but we still have no teeth. I mean, you know, we have no, we can't tell them, no, we don't like it, so you can't build it.
We have done that, actually.
I'll say that you could withhold the COA.
Based on what?
We have,
Based on-
too
On
big.
massive scale, we've done it
We-
twice,
yeah.
and it's very, very ugly, and if the regulations would help us with not get in that position, it would be very, very nice.
Especially listed planning commission, so they have some teeth in them.
Yeah.
In the fight.
All I'm saying is, I don't think, to create the maximum lot size, are we talking about a buildable lot, or are we eliminating the part of the lot that may be at over a 30% grade? Is
No.
there a difference
No,
between
see,
a
that's-
buildable lot and
There's
just maximum lot?
Because those
Should
4
there be-
In
lots,
this case, not necessarily, in this case, the lot that they were looking at, they're combining 4 lots and a good chunk of it is on the slope.
Yeah,
So,
correct.
so they're only gonna end up with, smaller unit anyways. But we shouldn't really be focusing on that one particular case. Really, the issue is, should there be a situation where someone wants to come in, consolidate 4 lots, and it's all flat, buildable area, and that can really change the character of one of the streets here in town. Right now, that can happen. And it's not consistent with the zoning district, it's not consistent with the design guidelines. It's inconsistent. So the question is, should there be a maximum lot size established as a result?
And the maximum lot size would be by character area or
Well,
zoning?
we're talking
district or something?
specifically about
Historic.
a historic residential zone district.
Yeah, we're not necessarily looking at any others at this point, just as, because this is the one that's the inconsistency.
Yeah, the intent statement's very clear about, small lot, and like she just said,
Close building.
yeah, all that stuff, compact.
I mean, if we limited the lot size within the historic district, could we take the next step and also limit the building size?
Yes, we could.
And to me, those would be things that you would do together, simply because if you're going into the zoning to change it, in the historic residential zone, it would be a good time to say, well, what else needs to happen to make this work for everybody? And so I think that's where I came down to, because I know that members of the planning commission, and not only the person who, there's 2 other members of the planning commission that have expressed the concern that is the size of the house. And I'm going to the making a maximum lot size will not impact at all your problem.
I don't agree with that statement. I do think changing the maximum lot, we have a maximum lot size will impact, depending on the size of the lot. But I do agree with you that
It's to make.
by having a maximum building size, that will also, it's kind of like hand in glove. It'll definitely address the issue. Just doing one or the other, I don't think will address the issue.
No, I think that both things need to be
Right.
done.
Okay, I agree with that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were not going to just stick with the lots.
No, that's great. I'm
leave our
glad you brought
buildings
that up.
ballooning in space.
Well, I appreciate you guys hearing, because Martin and I have had extensive conversations about it, and their concern is it's mission creep. It starts,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, without realizing, you can't stop it, and now the homes have gotten bigger, and you've set precedent to keep going, and they want to stop it if we can. So you've given good direction. Martin and I will then take it from here, get Jerry Dahl as well involved to make sure we're sound in communicating. And we can take it before the board of selectmen, these suggestions. And
And the other thing I would suggest, because I think it would be interesting, and it's very simple to do, and I'll do a part of it, especially for the blocks down here. When we turned down the large home that was planned on Washington Millside, what we did was look at the square foot of building in all of the buildings that in the surrounding blocks. And it was really very interesting. It's in the assessor's records. It's very easy to pick up, what's the square foot. What is the
Average square
building,
foot, yeah.
the building square footage of all of these? So I will at some point,
It's okay, he built another one.
To determine once Ryan steps in with Christine, what can we do at this point?
Because, yeah, I think we need CDPHE then
Yeah.
at this point, but that's Ryan's department.
Yeah.
I think FERC would be in the middle of this. I've dealt with FERC before.
Girls, aren't they?
Yeah, most of them are.
Yeah,
Part
we're
of
doing
the
better
problem is
there.
the trash guys that come and pick them up have broken the doors off a lot of them. And then flat broke like Club A, I'm sure that's what happened. They break the whole thing and eventually bang it into it and stuff. So
Some have
it's a hard thing.
oil barrels that are sitting outside of the
Yeah.
enclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got one that's always sitting right here on Sixth Street too, that's just,
Yeah.
Well, if you see them, you guys, please let me know, and I will send a letter, a formal letter of complaint, starting the process.
Okay.
I mean, we'd like to issue tickets, but we'd like to see if they can get them resolved.
Yeah,
Yes.
before they.
But whatever the code says, usually there's a letter, and then we follow up, and then if they don't remediate. Usually what I like to do is tell them, give me a time frame of when you're gonna remediate this. Before I have to give you a time frame, because I'm gonna go straight with the code says. But that's a soft way of getting it done.
Yeah.
And then except for this guy, I'm done with giving some grace. It's now justice.
We put something together for Bighorn, what, a year ago?
Yeah, we're-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing's happened.
I did contact him this week, and I have, it's been 4 months of now trying to get them to do it. Three times I have initiated them. This last one said, I'm letting
I ran into Jeff, the builder up on Main Street there. He tipped me off that he's gonna be coming for more inspections, the final occupancy inspection, probably next week or two.
Okay.
I am pretty busy, so he'll probably come to the town hall and request it. Anybody who's in town that would like to do
Yeah,
that,
I'm around. I should be able to do something.
you and Betsy would be good.
Okay, where's Betsy? I haven't seen her in a while. She may be out of town, but
What about that, on the first one that was approved? There's still bright, shiny flashings on the roof.
they always do that.
They've never been
Yeah.
painted or,
The first one would be, you sure?
yeah, the blue one. I think it's
Well, the
blue.
first one we did the inspection.
Yeah.
Not
We haven't done
Right,
that.
it's-
Where's the blue one? I mean,
The one that had the slick railing.
Yeah, that one. You come down, Main Street and.
Yeah, because that was one of the
Bright
ones that he
flashing.
said he did. I'll go look at it and see. The one above it, up on Griffith, we haven't inspected yet.
It's the one on Main Street.
Yeah, on Biddle.
It'll,
It's just one thing I noticed coming down Main Street.
Yeah, I'll look at that.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
And then the last thing is at the corner here where I was mentioning earlier,
Uh-huh.
they did contact me this past week and said they've been out of town. That is why they've not come back to submit an application for approval of their rock wall that they're building. They will get on it sometime soon. They didn't give me a time, they just said, please let them know I am going to be submitting an application. but the stop work order is still up there.
Yeah.
I move to adjourn.
Please.